Well, as it turns out, Adam Schefter plagiarizes stuff. Go figure. Welcome, everybody, to JG9 News. We talk all things NFL all the time. I'm Jared Garnay, representing the 904 from the 602. And today, we are talking about Adam Schefter once again committing a cardinal sin in journalism and something absolutely scummy that he just did, involving the death of former Dallas Cowboys and Chicago Bears wideout Golden Richards. If you didn't see the news on Friday, Richards passed away at the age of 73. A very solid receiver, won Super Bowl 12 with the Dallas Cowboys, an instrumental part in that team's success, one of the greatest teams of all time. As a side note, just look at how much talent was on that team, besides Danny White and Roger Staubach at quarterback. You had Tony Dorsett, Billy Joe Dupree, Robert Newhouse, Preston Pearson, Drew Pearson, Butch Johnson, Golden Richards, of course. That was Tony Hill's first season as well. So much talent at the skill positions on that team. We might never see another offense like the 77 Cowboys ever again. A tragic death, gone way too soon at 73 years old. Thoughts and prayers to his family, and he left behind a heck of a legacy. Caught that touchdown pass at the Super Bowl as well. Phenomenal player. He will sorely be missed and will be forever an NFL legend and a Cowboys legend. Having said that, though, Adam Schefter had to tweet about this, and his tweet was, shall we say, rather bizarre. As you see on the tweet, Golden Richards, the former Dallas Cowboys receiver who caught a touchdown pass off a gadget play in the 1978 Super Bowl, died Friday of a congestive heart failure at his home in Murray, Utah. He was 73. Now, immediately, the wording struck me as a bit odd. Who says the 1978 Super Bowl? Who says that? We refer to Super Bowls not by the year, but rather by the Roman numerals. It's been that way since the dawn of time, essentially, because the problem is that the Super Bowl takes place in January or nowadays February, and the bulk of the season takes place from September to December. So if you refer to it as the year, you might be referring to it as the season or the year that it took place. As an example, if I said, who won the Super Bowl in 1992? Well, you might think, well, it's the 1992 season, so the Dallas Cowboys won it, even though the game took place in January of 1993. Or you might think Washington, because it took place in the calendar year of 1992, even though it was the 1991 season. It's not like the World Series where it's very obvious, okay, the Texas Rangers won the 2023 World Series. It's very obvious in that regard. NFL, it's not, because it goes through the calendar year, so we call it by the Roman numeral, and that's how we've always called it. So immediately, it struck me as a bit odd that Schefter in his tweet said the 1978 Super Bowl. But whatever, I didn't want to bring that up into a story on just a technicality because of a man's death. I didn't feel that was appropriate. But what I decided to do was copy and paste the tweet into Google just to see, because I'm like, that wording is a bit weird, especially for a football journalist and a football analyst who knows better or should know better. And sure enough, it is plagiarized word for word by a writer by the name of John Coon, who works for the Associated Press. In Coon's story, the very first line, Golden Richards, the former Dallas Cowboys receiver who caught a touchdown pass off a gadget play in the 1978 Super Bowl, died Friday of congestive heart failure at his home in Murray. He was 73. Now let's compare that article by Coon to this tweet by Schefter, side by side, and what do you know? It's the same exact wording. Obviously, there's some stuff that's a bit different. He didn't put in the flowing blonde hairline, but still, it's the same exact wording, word for word. Schefter just took John Coon's story, turned it into a tweet, and is now making ad revenue off of someone's death for a tweet that he didn't even write. Let me just have you process that for 5 seconds. This man is making money off of someone's death for a tweet that he didn't even write himself. That is some of the scummiest behavior I can think of. I mean, we've seen it before with Adam Schefter that he doesn't really know the history of the NFL all that well, despite it being his job to be informed on the NFL. Now, obviously, his reporting in terms of breaking news is great. It's usually very, very reliable. If Schefter says that something is happening, it's happening. But when it comes to the history of the NFL and his ethics regarding that, they have been very, very shaky, especially over the last month. We saw that back during the AFC Championship, where he put out a tweet saying that the Baltimore Ravens and the Baltimore Colts were the same exact franchise when, spoiler alert, they're not. That's not how it works. They play in the same city, but they're not the same franchise. I did a video on that. You can check that out by clicking the link in the description or in the upper right corner. He also just flat out stole from NFL Throwback, stole their entire video on the Oilers play, on the Oilers-Steelers 1979 AFC Championship play. We saw it with the Brazil-Eagles thing, where he lied about the fact that the Eagles were playing on a Friday night. It was the first time ever that a Week 1 game was going to be on a Friday night. That wasn't true. He got community noted on that by yours truly. Go check that out if you haven't already. Link in the upper right corner or in the description below. This isn't a man with any appreciation for the game or any knowledge of the history, which, look, it's fine. That's totally fine in itself. But don't try and plagiarize other people's works, make money off of it, and make statements that are incorrect and peddle those out to your 10 million followers. And yes, I know that there are some things that you're going to have the same wording regardless, even if it's not plagiarized. As an example, if it's sunny outside and I say it's a sunny day, a million other people could have said it's a sunny day. There's only so many ways you can say that it's sunny outside. But there are very obvious tells that this was plagiarized because the wording here, again, is very weird. You didn't have to say 1978 Super Bowl. You didn't have to say gadget play. You didn't have to say a lot of the things in the order that you did. If you said Golden Richards, the former Dallas Cowboys receiver who caught a touchdown pass at Super Bowl 12, died Friday at the age of 73, again, there's only so many ways you can say that. But the fact that you added gadget play and 1978 Super Bowl, yeah, the alarm bells go off almost immediately that something is not right. Also, keep in mind, when he did that tweet about the Steelers-Oilers 1979 AFC Championship thing, the 1979 AFC Championship, that game took place in 1980, but we call it the 1979 AFC Championship because it took place during the 1979 season, even though that game took place in January of 1980. So that's why we refer to Super Bowls by their Roman numerals, because it gets very, very confusing. Because if I say 1979 AFC Championship, you don't know if I'm talking about the first Steelers-Oilers one or the second Steelers-Oilers one. You really got to think about which one I'm talking about. That's why we go by Roman numerals. And Schefter decided to go with 1978 Super Bowl, which makes a lot of sense as to why he did, because he just did a copy and paste job from someone else's hard work. So Golden Richards passing away at the age of 73, and Schefter now profiting off of that by stealing someone else's work. Just absolutely scummy, absolutely despicable. Schefter has had quite the 2024. From a journalistic integrity standpoint, he has had quite the year, and this is yet another black eye on his resume. But what are your thoughts on what Adam Schefter did? Do you think his plagiarism was okay? Do you have a problem with the tweet? Do you have a problem with the tweet? What are your thoughts on Golden Richards? What are your memories of him? That Super Bowl, the catch in particular, his career with the Cowboys? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And that's going to do it for this episode of JJ9 News. Be sure you like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. And be sure to check out my main channel, JaguarGator9, where we talk all things NFL history all the time. Until next time, this is JaguarGator9 signing off. And as always, go Jags.